Minister. I want to start by congratulating the Competition Authority on a very well organized conference here. The discussions this morning have been very interesting, and I look forward to spending the day with you here. I wanted to discuss a few issues here today that with regards to competition and competition legislation. We have made great progress in the past 20 years, and we have seen increased competition in the Icelandic economy, and we have seen that we have been able to get beyond challenges with regards to size and see that competition rules perfectly apply here in our small economy as well as in larger scale economies. And our organization, the Confederation of Employers, strongly supports the legislation and further development of it. There are two issues, however, that we would like to discuss a little bit here today. And one of them being, how can we further expand the effects of the Competition Act, and how could we possibly amend the current Act to increase its efficiency? And I want to start with the first one. We believe competition legislation plays a vital role in society, and its main objective should, of course, be to prevent distortive behavior in the marketplace by government and companies alike. A fair playing field is essential for both new and existing companies, and we need to enhance free trade and secure open markets with entry barriers as low as possible. We have, however, called for a number of amendments to the current competition legislation. A key development that we would like to see is that the Competition Authority puts more emphasis on guiding companies in the complex world of competition rules. We are still young in this matter, with only 20 years experience, and we are learning as we go along. And I think we should put more emphasis on preemptive measures, really guiding companies on how to behave within the Act. It is my firm belief that the vast majority of cases that arise are not there on purpose, and we can often prevent distortive behavior through such measures. So I welcome the statement by the Minister this morning in this regard, and I hope we will be able to work successfully towards that direction. Also, a recent initiative by the Competitive Authority to hold a competition seminar for companies is a very welcome initiative, and we hope it will be a successful one. We are also concerned a little bit about the rights of companies under investigation. We believe we need to develop further rules that apply there. We often see that investigations take a long time. We need to speed up the process as possible. It is a heavy burden to bear to be accused of violating the competition law. It is something companies should, of course, take seriously. It seriously affects their operations, possible financing, and often we are talking about listed companies. So it is vital for them that the process is as speedy as possible, without undermining due investigations. But also what we have seen, not only under the Competition Act, but also in other issues, such as with regards to capital controls and possible violations there, is that companies do not seem to be aware of what they are accused of in due time. And it is too long a time. We have seen instances in capital controls, for example, where companies are for a year and a half not aware of what exactly they are accused of violating. Same complaints have been made with, as referred first to the Competition Act. And I think this we can easily repair. There must be a simple due process applied there. We would also like to see the limits for financial limits for mergers raised, we believe it is time. We are in an unstable economy with an unstable currency. It has lost a significant amount of value in the past years, as we know, and we think it is time to raise the financial limits again. But we hope that we will have a proactive and a good cooperation with the competition authority in this respect. However, what I would really like to focus on here today is what I mentioned before. How can we expand the effects of competition legislation in Iceland? And as we look back and see the success, especially with regards to the private sector and increased competition there, I am sometimes a little bit surprised to see that the government that has brought us this legislation doesn't seem to have much belief in it when it comes to its own operations. So that we see that within the health sector, within the education sector, within the agricultural sector, and various other sectors and services supplied by government and municipalities, there is no belief in the effects of competition on increased efficiencies and better services. And I think we need to make a clear distinction here between privatization, for example, of healthcare and privately provided healthcare, publicly funded, however. And we are talking about the latter here. We think we have great opportunities in healthcare in Iceland. We are in serious trouble in terms of financing our welfare system. And we see that our healthcare system is inefficient in comparison to many of our neighboring countries. And we believe increased competition there could help greatly. Not only in reducing costs, not only in cutting waiting lists, and not only in providing better services, but also in another problem that we have a serious issue with for the coming years, is how to retain our healthcare professionals within our country. We need to offer them better opportunities in terms of how they can work here. And it is a food for thought when we see that, for example, in the Scandinavian countries, the number of visits in the healthcare system, we could say, serviced through private means, such as I'm talking about here, is about 20 to 25% of total visits, whereas we are at 5% here in Iceland. We are far behind our neighboring countries that we compare ourselves with quite often. And I don't think we need to fear reducing level of services or security of healthcare supply to our country, even though we take these steps. Another issue, of course, is the education system. And we see the same fear within the education system, that there will be poorer service, that the privately operated schools will not supply the same level of education as public schools. Evidence here in Iceland is quite to the contrary. We have quite successful operated private schools, both within universities and also in general education. And I think we should take further steps in this direction. Now, we have also seen in the past that we are even in some areas of public services moving away from free competition. For example, in public transport, where government recently auctioned monopolies on several public transport routes, actually abolishing quite successful free competition in the area. And this is a concern. We do not need government to actually enter markets in a distorted manner like that and actually destroying free competition. That is not moving us in the right direction. So I think government should take a serious look at its role in the marketplace, what level of services it should provide, and how we can increase competition in the level of government services. Another example is waste collection, where we saw a recent example of private companies that had developed a collection scheme for recyclable garbage for several years now, providing bins to households at their own selection, of course, and building up quite a successful collection scheme, all to see municipally operated company enter the market, providing free of charge bins to every household in the Reykjavik area, and really in a single day destroying the market for these private companies that had built it, really. And this is another example of how we seem to have little faith in competition within government. I think we need a change of attitude, both within the municipalities and within government itself. And I hope, and I'm very glad to see that the new government in place seems to share many of these beliefs and is working to increase emphasis on competition within especially the healthcare sector and the education sector. And I'm sure we can look into other arenas as well. So I want to thank you for the opportunity to be with you here again. I look forward to a successful, proactive cooperation, both with the Competition Authority and government, on how we can further enhance competition in Iceland, both in the private sector as well as in the public sector. Thank you.